Graduation season is officially over.
Yes, thank God. It's
do,
over.
do you have any more?
So Columbia and I believe Salem is actually this Friday, but most of the parties and graduation Sunday are.
Oh my
They've been here
goodness.
and they are gone.
It's been fun. It's been eventful. Having a senior myself, we've had to do all of the things, and then being pastor on top of that, you get invited to these parties, which I'm grateful for. But when you have how many? 18 high school
We
graduates.
had 17 high school, and we had 7 vocational and college graduates.
Wow. 13 of those were from Woodlawn Preparatory School, which was awesome. Largest graduating class to date for our church school, and excited about this next season for those young men and young ladies. You got a good group?
Yeah, it was a great group. They're going to go do some really cool things. They all, I think they knew they were a good group, and so they would they would push the limits in a good way, like nothing bad, but they knew where the line was, and boy, they would get to it. And the thing about this group that was really fun is that they were a funny group, so when they got to the line, it was tough for me as the adult in the room to be like, okay, yes, that's funny, but we can't do
bring it
that.
back.
Yeah, we got to bring it back. And
I think the worst thing they did was their senior prank. I mean, that's the worst trouble they got in all year.
yeah, their trouble was all good trouble. It wasn't actual reprimands and trouble. So
Yeah,
you'll take that win every day.
Yeah, I remember the day they got in trouble for going in the kitchen at school and cooking eggs without approval, without supervision, and there were some teachers that just went crazy. Like, it really bothered them. And I understand it. I get that. I'm not. But when you consider in the grand scheme of things, we're talking about eggs.
Yeah.
We're not talking about, crazy illegal stuff, that we deal with from time to time. But anyway, I know you're glad that this season.
Yeah. May is always busy. It's always fun. But
and then we're headed straight into camps.
Yep. Camps and NAYC and Vacation Bible School. And so it's not really slowing down. It's just a different busy.
Yeah.
But
thank you for joining us today on Woodlawn Talks. I love this time of the week, and we are excited to share with you today a little bit about this series that we're in, Live Your Legacy. I think you're going to really, really gain something from today's podcast, and we, as always, want you to make this your best day yet. Pastor Logan, I preached this weekend on Graduation Sunday, and that's the reason you're in the studio today, I preach all in. Mark Batterson wrote a book a long time ago. I did not base this message off of that book. I'm sure some of the things, coincided, but I know this: when you consider living your legacy, the only way to truly do anything significant in life is to go all in.
right.
What does that mean to you? Young father, been married how many years now?
Be 5 in October.
Yeah. What does that mean to you as a young father, new husband, student pastor?
Yeah. Well, we all have, whether you are unbelievably successful, unbelievably rich, or not successful yet and not rich yet, wherever you're at on that, spectrum, we all have one thing in common, and that is that we all have the same amount of time. And so, we say it a lot around here. People are going to do what they want to do. And, saying yes to something is saying no to another thing. And so for me, when thinking about, okay, I'm going all in on something, there's a few things that I am all in on. My relationship with Jesus Christ, I'm all in on. I've made that decision that no matter what goes on in my life, that I'm going to live for Jesus. And, obviously that changes from season to season and what you're going through, but no matter the season I'm in, Jesus is at the forefront of everything that I'm doing. And then, thinking about my marriage, I choose. I have a good friend getting married this weekend. I'm actually in his wedding. And I told him, I talked to him last week, and I said, look, when you get married, you choose every day that, hey, this is who I want to be married to. Every day you choose that. Because if
Yeah.
not, there's going to be fights and struggles, but each day you choose that person to be with.
Yeah.
You choose them to have fun with. You choose them to fight with. Everything that you're doing, you're choosing them. So I'm all in on my marriage. And then obviously with Millie, I'm all in on being the best father that I can be. And so all of those, those three, for me, those are the three most important things.
Yeah.
And then, of course, being a student pastor and everything that I do, there are things that I'm all in on. And that means that those things, they get my absolute best. And I'm making a choice, whether in the good or bad, that those aspects of my life, they're going to get my best.
Yeah. Tell me about, you were a college basketball player. You didn't just wake up one day and become,
Right.
a college basketball player.
Yeah. So like anything, to be, even just to be good at something takes a ton of work. To be great at something takes even more. And, I spent a lot of my younger years training, waking up at 6 a.m., lifting weights, eating the right things, running sprints, going to practice, watching film in order to be a college basketball player. And I was all in for that. That was my goal. I wanted to be able to play in college. I wanted to be able to compete at that level. And I spent so much time trying to be great in that area and trying to make it. And I think that really helped me with my walk with God, because I thought about how much time, how much energy, how much mental investment I put into being a good basketball player to have the opportunity to play in college. And when I was in college and I had met that goal, that was it. That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
It kind of, okay, when we're younger, we're trying to figure out who we are and trying to figure out what's important to us. And I remember getting to that point that everyone has to get to, where they say, all right, am I all in for God? I know what it's like to be all in for basketball, to be all in with friendships, but am I all in with my relationship with God? And so basketball and that training and being all in for that actually has really helped shape my walk as a Christian.
And I love to see you as a student pastor. You push your students, to be all in for their walk with God. And that's what His Word tells us.
Right.
I said it yesterday. Luke tells us, you got to hate father, mother, sister, brother, even your own self.
Right.
If you're going to be His disciple.
Right. And expound on that a little bit more, because obviously we're not supposed to be hateful to our parents or to our friends. So what is that passage really talking about in this light of being all in?
Great question. He was using hyperbolic language, which it was hate in comparison.
Yeah.
So it's love less than your love for Christ.
Yeah.
And so, we have so many examples in Scripture. We're not supposed to hate, father, mother, sister, brother, or even our own selves. Like we're told to love.
Right.
You got to love yourself, but it was in comparison to.
Yeah.
And so it's so important, that we understand. Just a few chapters earlier in Luke 9, he says, deny yourself, take up your cross daily.
Yeah.
And follow Him.
Yeah.
So it's just like you told your friend about marriage. You got to choose every day.
Yeah.
You're going to love this person. You're going to be married to this person. The same is so true with our walk with God. Every day is a choice. And I said this in the message that, if you live for God hard, it's easy.
Yeah.
So many people live for God easy and it's more difficult. But if you live for God hard, it's easy. I don't wake up every day and struggle in my walk with God. Like, it's not a choice whether I'm going to live for God today. It's who I am. It's what I'm going to do. And so I'm all in.
Yeah. And that doesn't come just naturally or just immediately. It's a choice, and then there's a growth process and a refining process because 20 years ago or 25 years ago, you may not have felt that way of, oh, today I know what I'm doing. I'm going to wake up, I'm going to read the word, I'm going to spend time in prayer, and I'm going to do everything that I can to please God and glorify God in my daily walk. But that didn't just happen overnight.
No, and it's a situation that, even now, like I'm subconsciously, it's all about what can I do today to build the spiritual man.
Right.
All of us have a flesh man and a spirit man.
Yeah.
Whichever one you feed the most is going to win. And even though it's not a struggle for me, whether I'm going to live for God today, I still know internally and subconsciously I've got to feed the spiritual man today.
Right.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah.
I don't have all the time that I want.
Yeah.
But I know what time I do have, I've
Yeah.
got to invest in myself and my spiritual
And
life.
that's why when we go all in, we choose, hey, these things, 3-4 things that are in my life, those get my absolute best. Those are going to get my absolute quality. I'm going to spend quality time with God. I'm going to spend quality time in studying the Word. I'm not going to let that be, the rest of everything, but that's going to be my best.
So to say yes to all of those things, you got to say no
Right.
to a lot more.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm learning every single day, to say yes to the things that are most important, to the things that I want to be all in. I've got to say no to the little sneaky things that creep up. And there are emergencies. I mean, I'm one phone call away right now from an emergency. But the things that on a day-to-day, the things that are important, have got to get my yes. I've got to be all in. I said this as well. I want to know what this means to you. If you're not all in, you're in the way. What is that? What is that? I know what it speaks to me, but what does it speak to you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few different angles that you can think of. One of the things is I think about is that we're all on the same team. We're all working together for God. And so let's relate it to me. If I, as a student pastor, I'm working for you. If I'm not all in, bought into the vision of Woodlawn, to the vision of Pastor Jaron, of how he's leading our church, then whether I'm trying to be against you or not, like that may not be my intention. But if I'm not all in, I'm against you because I'm not working towards
You're not pulling your weight.
Right. I'm not pulling my weight, and I'm not pushing forward your vision. So if we think about that as a church, if we're not all in and ensuring that we're doing our part, because all of us have a part. It is so far from just, it's the pastoral team or the volunteer team. Everyone at church has a part. And so if we're not ensuring, hey, I'm all in, I'm trying to make the church better, I'm trying to make my friends better, then in reality, whether that's our intentions or not, we're in the way.
Yeah, we've all been on those teams where everyone was not pulling their weight. Whether that's physical, a sports team, a management team, or a church team. If you're not all in, you're in the way of the vision, of the progress, of the growth. And so I would ask you today, where are you at on the spectrum? Are you all in? Are you taking inventory? Even during this podcast, are you thinking, can I do this better? Can I do that better? Can I be a better parent? Can I be a better spouse? Can I be a better team player?
And I think that's healthy. Like, I think you should be constantly evaluating yourself, saying, is there something I could do better in my prayer life? Can I be, like, none of us have made it, right? You're a pastor of a phenomenal church, but each day you have to wake up, and if you're not in the Word and you're not spending time in prayer and spending time fasting and consciously making that decision to go all in, it's not oh man, I've already done that. No, it's each day waking up and saying, I got to get better today. And tomorrow I got to make that choice. I'm going all in. I got to get better tomorrow. And I think that's healthy for people to realize that it's not a bad thing to say, what can I do better?
You will not live your legacy if you don't make a conscious decision.
That's right.
I'm going all in.
That's right.
Let's talk about one more thing. Let's talk about boundaries and how it relates to this all-in mentality.
Yeah.
Whenever they begin to possess the promised land, They were giving strict boundaries.
Right.
He set the north, the south, the east, and the west. And when we say the word boundaries today, it's automatic negativity.
Right.
What do you mean you're putting boundaries on me? What? Why do we have to have boundaries? Just, the message of the world is be you. Just do you. Boundaries.
Yeah. So you kind of mentioned this earlier, but when I say yes to a boundary, or I'm saying yes to going all in with God, that automatically is a no to something, right? You say, yes, I'm going to do that. If you say yes to anything, it's a no to something else. It's a choice. And so when I'm thinking about boundaries, and it does have that negative connotation, but those boundaries are meant to protect us.
Yeah.
Right. Those boundaries are, hey, you're not supposed to partake in this activity. Why? Because it's against the Word of God. So that is a biblical boundary that we've in place. The reason is not because that God is a God of rules and that's just what He wants to be, but He wants us to spend eternity with Him. And so those boundaries that are given to us are so that we can make it, are so that we can live as a Christian, as you said earlier, live for God in an extreme and in a hard way so that it's easier. Because if you live easy for God,
Yeah.
and you're just, the boundaries are maybes instead of hard no's, then it's more difficult moving forward.
Set boundaries for your family.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to do. This is what our family is going to stand for. This is where we're going to go to church.
Yep.
This is when we're going to go to church.
Yep.
This is how we're going to worship. This is how we're going to raise the next generation. Boundaries are not meant to restrict us. They are meant to protect us.
Yeah.
You can't talk about all in and not think about the boundaries that are in your life.
And they free you from some difficult decision making. Hey, are we going to church today? Well, absolutely we are. That's a boundary that's
that's
set.
so good. Yeah.
It's not a choice. It's not a 50-50. Kids aren't waking up on Sunday morning saying, I don't know if we're going on Wednesday night. They know that they're going to be. They know that they don't go to these types of parties because mom and dad don't go to those types of parties because those are boundaries that are set. And so you're taking away peer pressure decisions. You're taking away decisions that, you're making the difficult decision early to make it easier for you later. And that's not a rule. That's just a boundary so that you can be successful.
Yeah. I love how you said that. It takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
We know we're going to do this. This is a boundary we've set. We're all in. I want to close with just one verse of Scripture. I've read this 100 times, I'm sure, but it hit different. Proverbs 4. This is the great wisdom writer. Verse 25 through 27 says, let your eyes look straight ahead and your eyelids look right before you. I love verse 26. It says, ponder the path of your feet. Where are you at? Where are you going? What direction are you going? Are you all in? Ponder the path of your feet and let all your ways be established. All in. Do not turn to the right or the left. Remove your foot from evil. You can do this. Yeah. It will change your destiny. If you want to live your legacy today, make a decision. Today, I'm going all in. I'm going all in on prayer. I'm going all in fasting one day a week. I'm going all in as a parent, as a spouse. Whatever you want to do, God will give you the strength. If you'll put Him first, I promise you, in return, He will give you the strength to make that total commitment.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us on Woodlawn Talks today. I love Woodlawn Talks. Make this your best day yet.